Imagine walking home at night with the person you trust most, and suddenly danger appears. He promised forever, but will he really stay when fear hits? One robbery, one stranger's words, and a series of shocking choices will reveal the truth about love, courage, and trust. Watch till the end, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about love. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comments below, and let someone know you are never alone. I remember the night clearly. Cool wind moved through the empty street outside our university. Streetlights painted soft yellow circles on the road. Meteo walked beside me, his hand warm in mine. "I promise forever, Mia," he said softly. "For you I can do anything." His voice sounded strong. His eyes looked certain. My heart believed every word. We laughed while walking toward home. The quiet city felt peaceful. A distant dog barked. Leaves whispered along the sidewalk. Then the sudden roar of a motorcycle cut through the silence. Two men stopped beside us. The engine growled. My heart jumped. One robber stepped down and walked toward us slowly. His boots scraped against the road. Cold fear spread through my chest. I looked at Meteo. I expected his hand to hold mine tighter. I expected courage. Instead, his fingers slipped away. A quick movement. Running footsteps. Meteo disappeared into the darkness. For a moment my mind froze. The boy who promised forever vanished when fear arrived. I stood alone under the trembling streetlight. The robber looked at me. His face carried surprise more than anger. My hand shook while I offered my handbag and my phone. My breath sounded loud in my ears. The night felt colder. He took the bag. Silence lingered for several seconds. Then he looked in the direction where Meteo ran. A slow sigh escaped from him. "Girl," he said quietly, "a man who leaves you alone during danger carries no love strong enough for life." His words cut deeper than fear. He placed the bag back in my hands. The phone rested on top. "Your heart deserves someone brave," he continued. "Someone who stands beside you when the world turns dark." The motorcycle engine started again. The men disappeared into the night. I stood there beneath the streetlight, holding the bag tightly, feeling something inside my heart shift and awaken. The road stretched quietly ahead of me, and the truth of love began to unfold in ways I never expected. The sound of the motorcycle slowly faded into the distance. Silence returned to the street. I stood beneath the dim streetlight, my hands still trembling around the bag. The cold wind brushed my face, yet something inside me felt strangely calm. Fear slowly turned into a quiet awareness. The words of the robber echoed inside my mind. "A man who stands beside you when the world turns dark." I began walking slowly down the empty road. My footsteps sounded soft against the pavement. Every shadow seemed deeper than before, yet my heart felt clearer. Then hurried footsteps rushed toward me. "Mia!" I turned. Meteo emerged from the darkness, breathing heavily. His hair looked messy, his face pale with panic. "I ran to find help," he said quickly. "Two men looked dangerous. I thought they might hurt us." His voice shook. His eyes searched my face, waiting for relief or forgiveness. For years I had known his smile, his jokes, his gentle words. Yet tonight I had seen another truth. I studied his face quietly. Streetlight revealed sweat on his forehead. His chest rose and fell with nervous breaths. "My bag is here," I said softly, lifting it slightly. "They returned everything." Confusion crossed his face. "They returned it?" "Yes." The wind moved through the quiet street again. A loose paper rolled across the road. Somewhere far away a car passed with a faint hum. I remembered the robber's calm voice, the strange kindness in a moment of danger. Sometimes truth arrives from the most unexpected place. Meteo stepped closer, trying to take my hand again. His fingers reached for mine. But my heart paused. The warmth I once felt now carried hesitation. My mind replayed the moment when his hand slipped away and his figure vanished into darkness. I looked at him, searching deeper than before. "Meteo," I said slowly, "tonight showed something important about love." His eyes widened slightly. The quiet night wrapped around us while my thoughts continued unfolding, and somewhere within my heart a new understanding began growing stronger, guiding my next words as I drew a long breath and looked down the long road ahead where the future waited silently. The quiet night wrapped around us while my thoughts continued unfolding, I drew a slow breath and looked down the long road ahead where the future waited silently. Meteo, I said gently, love feels beautiful when life stays calm. Real love reveals its strength when fear appears. He shifted uncomfortably. His eyes moved away for a moment, then returned to my face. I felt scared, he said quickly. Anyone would feel scared. His words floated in the cool air. Fear lives in every heart. Yet courage decides whether love stands firm or fades away. The streetlight hummed softly above us. A thin cloud moved across the moon, making the road darker for a moment. I remembered our days at the university, long afternoons in the library, coffee cups warming our hands during winter mornings. His laughter filling quiet hallways, his promises about forever. So many beautiful memories. Yet tonight one small moment changed the meaning of those promises. I waited for you to hold my hand tighter, I said quietly. I waited for you to stand beside me. Meteo swallowed slowly. I thought they might hurt you, he answered. I thought I could bring help. His explanation sounded hurried, almost desperate. I studied his face again. I searched for the certainty I once trusted. The wind carried the distant smell of rain. Somewhere nearby, leaves rustled along the sidewalk. Inside my chest, something new grew stronger. A deeper understanding of love. Love asks for warmth, kindness, patience. Yet love also asks for courage during the moments when the world suddenly becomes uncertain. Meteo stepped closer again. Mia, please understand, he said softly. I love you. His voice trembled with emotion. For a moment my heart softened. Years of friendship and affection lived inside those 3 words. Yet the image of his running footsteps returned to my mind. I lifted my eyes toward the quiet sky, letting the cool night air settle my thoughts. Meteo, I whispered slowly, tonight a stranger risked more honesty than the person who promised forever. The words surprised even me. He remained silent. The space between us felt heavier than before. I turned slightly and began walking again along the dim road, feeling his gaze following every step while the night continued unfolding around us and my heart prepared to discover what kind of love truly deserved to walk beside me through the uncertain paths that still stretched far ahead into the darkness. My footsteps moved slowly along the quiet road. The soft rhythm of my shoes touching the pavement filled the silence. Behind me I could hear Meteo following, his breathing uneven, his steps hesitant. The night air carried a faint scent of rain and wet earth. Streetlights stretched ahead like a long glowing path. Every step forward felt like a step deeper into my own thoughts. Mia, wait, Meteo called softly. I paused but remained facing the road. My heart felt heavy yet strangely awake, as if the night had opened my eyes to something I had never truly examined before. He walked closer until his shadow appeared beside mine under the streetlight. I love you, he repeated, his voice lower now, almost fragile. Fear came suddenly. My mind stopped thinking clearly. His words drifted through the quiet air. I listened carefully. For years I believed love meant promises, laughter, shared dreams about the future. Tonight revealed another layer of truth. Love also meant presence during the moment when danger appeared without warning. I turned slowly to face him. His eyes looked tired, filled with worry and regret. I remember the first day we met, I said softly. You helped me carry my books across campus. You smiled like the world felt simple and kind. A faint smile touched his lips at the memory. The wind brushed gently between us. Many beautiful days grew after that, I continued. Friendship, trust, dreams. He nodded slowly. Yes, our story feels strong, he whispered. I looked into his eyes again, searching for something deeper than words. Stories grow stronger when actions protect them, I replied calmly. The street remained empty around us. Somewhere in the distance a train horn echoed faintly through the night. Meteo lowered his gaze for a moment, then lifted it again with a quiet determination slowly forming in his expression. I want to prove my love, he said with a steady breath. Give me a chance to show courage. His voice carried sincerity now, almost pleading yet hopeful. I watched him carefully while my thoughts continued turning like the slow movement of clouds above us. The road ahead still stretched long and uncertain, and somewhere within the quiet night another moment waited to reveal whether his words would grow into true courage or fade like the echoes of promises carried away by the wind. while our steps moved forward together into the deepening darkness. The road ahead still stretched long and uncertain. A thin mist began rising from the pavement as the night grew colder. Streetlights glowed softly through the haze, turning the quiet street into a dreamlike path. Meteo walked beside me now, silent, careful with every step as if afraid that one wrong word might break something fragile between us. For a while neither of us spoke. Only the sound of our footsteps. Only the whisper of wind brushing past empty buildings. Then suddenly a faint voice reached my ears. A soft cry. I stopped walking. My heart tightened as I listened again. The sound came from the narrow alley beside an old grocery store. A child's voice. Weak. Frightened. Meteo looked toward the dark alley. His shoulders stiffened. The place looked shadowy, lit only by a broken lamp flickering near the wall. The cry came again. A small figure slowly appeared near a pile of cardboard boxes. A young boy sat on the cold ground, hugging his knees. His clothes looked dusty, his eyes wet with tears. "Please help," the boy whispered. The moment felt heavy with emotion. Without thinking, I stepped forward toward the alley. The ground felt damp under my shoes. My heart beat faster, yet compassion guided my steps. Behind me, Meteo hesitated for a brief second. Then his footsteps followed. He walked ahead of me this time. Slowly, carefully. His eyes scanned the dark corners of the alley as if protecting the space around us. "Hey, little one," Meteo said gently, kneeling beside the boy. "You are safe." The boy looked up with trembling eyes. "I lost my mother," he murmured weakly. Meteo removed his jacket and wrapped it around the child's shoulders. His movements looked calm, steady, protective. For the first time that night, I saw something different in him. A quiet courage forming through kindness. The boy leaned against him, still shaking slightly. Meteo placed a reassuring hand on the child's back, while looking around the empty street for help. The flickering lamp above us buzzed softly. The mist thickened in the cool air. And as I watched Meteo comforting the frightened boy, a new question slowly rose inside my heart, wondering whether a single moment of fear defined a person forever, or whether the true strength of love revealed itself through the choices that followed when another unexpected moment waited just ahead in the deep silent night. The mist thickened in the cool night air. The flickering lamp above us hummed softly, casting trembling shadows across the alley walls. I stood quietly, watching Meteo kneel beside the little boy. His jacket wrapped around the child's small shoulders. His hand rested gently on the boy's back, moving slowly in a calming rhythm. "Everything will be all right," Meteo said softly. The boy sniffed and wiped his tears with the sleeve of the jacket. His eyes looked tired, yet a little trust began returning to them. "I got separated from my mother," the child whispered. "There were too many people. I kept walking and walking." Meteo nodded with patience. "We will find her," he assured him. "You are not alone anymore." His voice sounded steady, warm, protective. I felt something stir quietly inside my heart. Only a short time earlier I had watched him disappear into darkness. Fear had taken control of him. That memory still lingered like a shadow. Yet now another image formed before my eyes. The same man sitting on the cold ground beside a frightened child, offering comfort without hesitation. The boy slowly stood up, still holding the edges of the jacket tightly around himself. Meteo rose with him and gently held his hand. "Let us check the main street," Meteo said calmly. "Your mother might be searching there." The boy nodded with a small hopeful breath. We stepped out of the alley together. The quiet road stretched before us again, glowing beneath the long row of streetlights. A distant siren echoed faintly somewhere in the city. The boy walked between us now. His small fingers held Mateo's hand firmly, as if he had already chosen a protector. Meteo scanned the sidewalks carefully while guiding the child forward. His movements looked alert, responsible. I watched him in silence. Sometimes a heart reveals its truth slowly, through many moments rather than one single test. The cool wind brushed across my face while we continued down the street. Then suddenly a woman's worried voice carried through the night. "Adam!" The little boy's head lifted instantly. His eyes widened with recognition. "Mama!" he cried with sudden joy. Across the street, a woman ran toward us, her face pale with worry and relief. The child rushed forward, and she wrapped him tightly in her arms. Tears shone in her eyes as she thanked us again and again. Meteo smiled gently, stepping back with quiet humility. I watched the scene unfold while another quiet realization slowly formed in my heart, and as the mother and child walked away beneath the glowing streetlights, I turned toward Meteo again while the night around us seemed ready to reveal yet another unexpected moment waiting just ahead. The mother and child slowly disappeared down the glowing street, their shadows stretching long beneath the streetlights. Silence returned once again. The cool wind brushed gently through the quiet road, carrying the faint scent of rain and distant city sounds. Meteo stood beside me, watching the place where the boy and his mother had vanished. His face looked calmer now, yet thoughtful, as if the night itself had been teaching him something. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. Then he turned toward me slowly. "I saw the way you looked at me earlier," he said quietly. "Your eyes carried disappointment." His voice held honesty now, softer than before. I looked at the dim road ahead. The night felt deeper, almost reflective. "Fear changes people," I replied gently. "Sometimes it reveals weakness. Sometimes it gives a chance to grow stronger." Meteo breathed slowly, absorbing every word. "I felt ashamed when I saw you standing alone," he admitted. "While running, my heart kept telling me something felt wrong." The streetlight above us flickered briefly, casting brief waves of shadow across his face. "I want to become better than that moment," he continued. "Not through promises, through actions." His words sounded calm, steady, sincere. I studied him carefully again. Tonight had shown me two different versions of the same person, one shaped by fear, the other guided by compassion. The quiet road stretched forward beneath the glowing lights. Then suddenly another sharp sound broke the stillness. A loud crash echoed from the corner of the street ahead. Both of us turned quickly. A bicycle lay on the ground near a small grocery shop, its wheels spinning slowly. Nearby, an elderly man struggled to stand, his groceries scattered across the pavement. Glass jars rolled across the road. Apples bounced gently before settling near the curb. Without hesitation this time, Meteo moved forward quickly. "Sir, are you hurt?" he called out while rushing to the man's side. He helped the elderly man sit up carefully, checking his arm with concern. His movements looked confident, protective. I followed closely behind, watching the scene unfold. The old man looked shaken but conscious. "My balance slipped," he murmured weakly. Meteo began gathering the fallen groceries, placing them back into the torn bag with patience and care. The night air felt still around us, yet my heart sensed another quiet shift forming, and while I watched Meteo helping the old man with calm dedication, I felt the story of this strange night continuing to unfold in ways that still carried lessons waiting to reveal themselves further along the silent road ahead. The silent road held its breath while Meteo knelt beside the elderly man. The old man leaned against the wall of the small grocery shop, his hands still trembling slightly. The fallen apples rolled gently near the curb, their red skins shining under the pale streetlight. Meteo carefully gathered each piece of fruit and placed them back into the worn paper bag. His movements felt patient, almost respectful, as if every small act carried meaning. "Take a slow breath, sir," Meteo said calmly. "Your ankle may feel sore after the fall." The old man nodded while adjusting his glasses. His face carried the tired lines of many years, yet gratitude warmed his eyes. "Thank you, young man," he replied softly. "My legs grow weaker these days." I stood nearby, quietly observing. The cool wind brushed past us again, rustling the leaves of a nearby tree. The spinning bicycle wheel slowly lost its motion and came to a gentle stop. Meteo lifted the bicycle upright and leaned it carefully against the wall. Then he helped the old man stand with steady support. Step by step, the man regained his balance. "You carry kindness in your heart," the old man said with a small smile. "That quality shapes a person more than strength alone." Meteo lowered his eyes humbly. "I simply did what felt right," he answered. The words sounded sincere. For a moment, I remembered the earlier fear on this same street. The sudden robbery, the shock of being left alone, the strange wisdom from a robber who chose compassion over cruelty. This long night seemed filled with lessons arriving from unexpected places. The old man slowly placed the groceries inside the basket of his bicycle. "Which direction leads to your home?" Meteo asked kindly. "Just beyond the next 2 blocks," the man replied. Meteo glanced toward the dim road ahead. Without hesitation, he offered to walk beside him to ensure he reached home safely. The old man accepted with gratitude. We began moving forward again, 3 figures walking beneath the quiet row of streetlights. Each step carried the soft echo of the night's unfolding story. As I walked beside Meteo, I noticed a new steadiness in his posture, a quiet resolve forming inside him like a flame growing stronger with every act of kindness. Yet deep inside my heart, another question continued rising gently, wondering whether this night had only begun revealing its deeper truth while the dark horizon ahead waited patiently to present the next moment that would test the meaning of love, courage, and the fragile trust slowly rebuilding between us. The quiet street stretched ahead while the 3 of us walked slowly beneath the pale glow of the streetlights. The elderly man held his bicycle carefully, guiding it step by step while Meteo stayed beside him, ready to support him if his balance slipped again. The night had grown deeper now. The mist hung lightly in the air, softening the edges of buildings and turning the street into a quiet corridor of silver light. For several minutes, only the sound of slow footsteps and the gentle roll of the bicycle wheels filled the silence. Then the old man spoke again. Life has strange ways of testing the human heart, he said thoughtfully. Sometimes fear arrives first. Courage follows later. His words floated through the cool air. Meteo listened carefully while keeping his hand lightly near the man's shoulder, ready to steady him. I understand that lesson tonight, Meteo replied quietly. I glanced at him. His voice carried reflection rather than defense now. The old man smiled faintly, as if recognizing the meaning behind those words. Soon we reached a small house at the corner of the next street. A warm porch light glowed above the wooden door, spreading a circle of comfort into the night. This is my home, the old man said gently. Meteo helped him place the bicycle near the porch. The old man turned and held Mateo's hand with gratitude. Kindness builds the true strength of a person, he said warmly. Never forget that. With a final grateful nod, the old man stepped inside his home and closed the door softly. The quiet street welcomed us again. Meteo and I remained standing near the porch light for a moment. The warm glow reflected in his thoughtful eyes. He exhaled slowly. Tonight feels like a long journey, he murmured. I nodded slightly. The night still continues, I replied softly. We began walking again down the empty street. The wind carried the distant sound of a passing train, low and echoing through the sleeping city. Then suddenly, far ahead near the end of the block, 2 shadowy figures appeared under the dim glow of another streetlight. A motorcycle engine started quietly. My steps slowed. The shapes looked strangely familiar in the drifting mist, and as the motorcycle light flickered toward us once more, a deep feeling stirred inside me, sensing that the night had one more unexpected encounter waiting to unfold before its final lesson revealed itself somewhere along the silent road ahead. The motorcycle engine hummed softly in the distance, and the 2 figures under the streetlight paused as if noticing us. My heart skipped a beat, the memory of earlier fear rising sharply. But this time Mateo's hand brushed gently against mine. His presence felt steady. Calm. Stay close, he whispered. I nodded, taking a careful breath as we approached the light together. The figures stopped, revealing 2 delivery workers who had lost their way. Relief washed over me, and a nervous laugh escaped my lips. Meteo smiled faintly, his eyes reflecting the quiet strength I had begun noticing in him all night. The fear, the running, the chaos of earlier, it was part of the story but not the whole story. We continued walking down the now familiar street. The air had grown crisp, the mist slowly fading as the first hints of dawn touched the rooftops. I looked at Meteo. His face held sincerity, patience, and courage born not from words but from action. Tonight taught me something important, I said softly. Love is not just about promises. It is about standing beside someone when the world feels uncertain. Meteo nodded slowly. And sometimes it is the small choices, the acts of kindness and courage, that define a person more than words ever could. The sun began to rise, painting the city in soft pink and gold. Streetlights dimmed, shadows retreated, and the long night finally gave way to morning. We paused at the corner of my street. My bag rested lightly on my shoulder. Mateo's hand gently held mine. I promise nothing will scare me away from standing with you again, he said quietly. I smiled, feeling a quiet warmth bloom in my chest. The lessons of the night, the robbery, the words of the stranger, the child, and the elderly man, wove together into something I could finally understand. Life would bring moments of fear. People may stumble. Choices may reveal weakness. But courage, compassion, and sincerity, the willingness to stand beside someone despite fear, define true love. Meteo squeezed my hand. I squeezed back. And for the first time, I understood fully that love was not about never feeling fear. It was about walking together through it, helping, protecting, and growing stronger with each step. The street was quiet now, bathed in the soft glow of morning. I felt ready to face the future, knowing that real love, tested and true, could endure anything, and that every act of kindness and courage could leave a ripple in someone's life, shaping hearts and souls far beyond a single night. And in that peaceful dawn, I realized that trust, love, and courage are gifts we choose to give, not just words we promise. The lesson of the night lingered, gentle yet profound. True love shows itself in actions, not promises, and kindness can illuminate even the darkest hours.